there's a real incentive there that does give it a little bit more juice that seems decent to me, at least compared to a spell that I'm not particularly high on, which is Aid. So, like,
Yeah,
in a
see,
realm of mediocre spells, this seems mediocre.
hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Heroism. Wow,
I'm a hero.
I'm inspired.
Gotta. Oh, thank you. This is a spell I've always like. I should find a way to put this on my character sheet, and then it just never seems to make it. So it's a first level spell, cast some of an action, ranges touch, rolls magic components, concentration, minute duration. A willing creature you touch is imbued with bravery. Until the spell ends, the creature is immune to being frightened and gains temporary hit points equal to your spellcasting ability modifier at the start of each of its turns. When the spell ends, it loses all temporary HP from the spell. And you can upcast it to target extra creatures. So if you cast a second level spell, you get two things:
Yeah,
heroism, three, etc., etc. This is a Bard, Paladin, Order Domain, Peace Domain, Oath of Glory, and Battlesmith Artificer spell. So a lot of supporty things get this.
yeah, this is a tough one.
Heroism is rough because it fundamentally doesn't play on the axis that matters most in combat, which is actions. It costs an action to use, so you really don't want to ever use this in combat, as opposed to trying to reduce enemy hit points, right? Like, the goal normally is kill or be killed, and in that scenario, you want the enemies dead so they can't hit you back. That reduces their actions because they're dead. It can pad out a character to, like, if you can give 3 extra hit points around to somebody that is actively taking like chunks of 5-6 damage around, this could buy them 2 extra turns of being up, but that's not given. And sometimes it'll just be they'll take, the monster will shoot through the 3 extra hit points and their entire HP bar, and then they're unconscious, and heroism is useless. So, like, it's really, really not gonna be that beneficial unless it's also denying the frightened condition. And that is like another fickle, like, when does this really come up? Is this going to be a thing we're fighting against often? And it leaves me with this spot where I'm like, I could see it maybe giving out and have 100 hit points in a fight, right? If you got a +5 mod, put this on 3 things, you don't have to deny that many hits to make up that number, right?
Yeah.
Or that it has to be up for, like, I guess 6 rounds is a lot of rounds. But you could conceivably get decent amounts of hit point reduction with it, like more than an 8 even could do, if it can stick up and you can go through 5-6 fights. But its short duration makes it so, like, it's really hard to get that kind of value out of it, and it's really hard to set up.
Well, I mean, I don't find a minute to be a short duration. It's one fight. You know, very few fights are going longer than a minute. This is something you definitely want to cast right before the fight starts, prep round. I mean, paladins aren't using this, right?
I don't think ever. Concentration on Paladin is always a tall order, because you're intending to
Yeah.
take hits. So,
Well, yeah,
like,
you who, yeah, if you're the paladin, who are you using it on?
yeah, you would use it on yourself almost
Yeah.
always. This is the kind of thing where, like, maybe you're a bard, you buff the paladin. You do have to touch them too, so whoever target you want to give this to, you want them to be immediately taking damage, and you need to be able to touch them so that they can. So you have to be near that damage, or they need to be able to move into the damage in order
Well,
for this to start doing anything, right?
that's not too bad because I mean, like I said, this is a you want this to be a prep round. Yeah, okay, buddy, you're my hero. Go fight. I'm gonna stay back here.
Yeah. In
Um,
situations with prep rounds, like, is this better than blessing them? Is this better than giving them other supportive buffs, like divine, or yeah, not to, divine favor could be one, but also shield of faith, the +2 AC one. Like, I think I'd rather deny the hits outright than
yeah.
shrug off 3 extra
Now, I
damage,
mean,
right?
I think you need the fear effect for this to be worthwhile. I'm not I'm not super into it for the temporary hit points alone.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I agree.
it's something to have in your pocket in case you are coming up against something that does fear.
Yeah, so I think I like this as the two cleric domains that get this for free auto prepared. I think I like it most on, because that's
Oh,
we're
sure.
against something that frightens. We have a prep round to go into the thing that frightens. Give 2 people or 3 people or 1 person heroism, sure. then I also then ask the question, well, okay, when those windows come up, is it still better for me to just concentrate on something else? Is it still better for me to just bless 3 people for a first level spell slot? Is it still better for me to use different concentration prep round effects over this that I've probably prepared? And then I go, well, even in the windows with the frighten effect, I still think I just might take bless. I feel like I might just take specific outcomes that I know will help us reduce enemy actions faster than
Well,
this.
I mean, if they're frightened, like, all right, what if you are the cleric that has this for free? I 100% agree. That's where I like this most.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if the rest of your party is melee heavy, then the frightened condition is a lot more detrimental. Then you're not going to be denying your enemy's actions
You're right. You're kind of like
unless
giving your team
they're
actions because
getting up
they're allowed
in
to
their
approach.
face.
Yeah.
If you've got ranged attacks or spellcasters, frightened isn't as big an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That makes a lot of sense. Like,
I
let's
and
say you're going into the most iconic fears are like dragons' frightful presence, right?
yeah,
They're big, intimidating presence. Do you prep this for that fight, or do you try and do like elemental, the resistance to elemental damage to like shoot against their breath weapon or something, right? Like, are there other prep spells that you're often going to put in a lot of scenarios that overlap with this?
maybe, but I mean, like I said, it depends on the party composition. If I'm melee heavy, I definitely want my frontliners up in the enemy's face. But
Immunity is a big deal. You're definitely right. And
yeah,
there's no save involved or anything. They just cannot be frightened. Period. They are going to be allowed to do their thing, which is relevant.
let me ask you this: What? Shucks, I had a question.
I don't know.
All
This
right,
is one
keep
a rare
talking for a second.
spell that I
Yeah,
actually like more upcast than not.
yeah.
It's
Well, all
if
right, that's what I was going to ask. All right, fear effects. You
Mhm.
mentioned Dragon's Frightful Presence. We know the spell fear. Um, other things. Most of them, unless I'm mistaken, are area effects,
The
right?
ones that jump to mind, yes, I would
Yeah,
agree, are area effects. Like the Sea Hag's frightful visage, for
right.
example. Anyone that sees her is makes a save or is frightened unless they avert their eyes, in which case that's bad because you have disadvantage on attack rolls and stuff. So like there is some play there.
I
Most
can't think of
things
many
frighten the
single
enemies.
target fear effects.
Like
In
Beholder's not like a Ray that does it. There
yeah,
are some in the game. They exist. Cause Fear is a first level spell that does it. But yeah, I get your point. I think you're right that more often than not, the frightened effects are area effects.
and which is you were just saying, and I was gonna also say that, but yeah, I like this one upcast.
The nice thing is
Mm,
like it adds a lot more hit points per round that way. Like if
mm,
you were to get 5 hit points per round, I'm not that high on my concentration. If I'm giving 25 hit points a round and that is all being used, this very quickly adds up to a large amount of extra HP the party's tanking. Like if you compare that to an aid, I am not upset with that quantity of hit points. If I can get 3 rounds, I'm getting the entire team 75 extra hit points in essence by padding out a lot of people's hit points. Now, there's a huge amount of caveats there, right? How many people are taking damage, how much damage they're taking, all of that kind of stuff. But I could see like mid to upper tier going into a fight against things that are designed to frighten you. A cleric being like, this is the time for the 4th level heroism to go on the front line. People keep me safe. I'm going to be scared of that thing because I don't want to spend a 5th level slot on this, I don't think. But like, you don't want it to fall off because then the frighten will start to happen anyway. But like, there's a real incentive there that does give it a little bit more juice that seems decent to me, at least compared to a spell that I'm not particularly high on, which is aid. So like,
yeah,
in a
see,
realm of mediocre spells, this seems mediocre, I
all right,
guess.
I kind of disagree with you here because all right, if I'm casting this as a fifth level spell to target 5 people, I'm not at all excited about the 5 extra. Well, I don't know, maybe because it does re
It
come up
refreshes
every
every round.
yeah.
So like,
So maybe
if you thought of it like this gave 15 extra hit points to the entire party,
yeah,
that adds up to be technically a lot of hit points. That like blocks a single hit on every single member of the party at least, and it can then do more. And I
yeah,
think that I'm not high on that on its own, but if you're also like actually blocking frightened conditions, I think that's
yeah,
suddenly interesting. I don't
yeah,
think
yeah.
either one independently is quite worth enough on its own, but together they might make a spell worth casting.
I
Commoners, let me
think
know if you've had a good experience with this, because I don't think I've ever seen it cast, and I've played a lot
no,
of
I
Dungeons and
haven't either.
Dragons.
I think ending the frightened condition is what I want it for, and the
It
extra
doesn't end
HP,
the frightened condition.
or not
It
ending. I mean,
immunes it.
immunes it. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I want it for. The extra hit point, temporary hit points. It's yeah, a little bit of icing on the cake.
Yeah.
But I think it's if you're going into this and you have the frightened condition as a genuine threat, I'm fine with this on its own, with that effect on its own.
Yeah, I think I agree. Maybe. And again, it's definitely in the situation where it's like what are the party's odds of beating the frightening condition anyway, right? Like, is it a low DC? Is there a way to
Yeah.
mitigate the DCs? Indomitable on the table or whatever, right? Like, are there other conditions that are already beating this problem? Do you have a paladin that's giving everyone giant bonuses to saves or whatever? That makes paladin feel more particularly like I'd probably never casting this. Bars I hate this on because you have to learn it, and they get like 10 known spells, so it's really tight for their list. That leaves the ones that auto prepare it, and there it might be fine, right? So this gets a 2. Does it
Yeah,
get a
I was
3? I
thinking
think it
too.
probably gets a 2.
I want to like it more, but I don't think it's coming up
Nearly enough.
nearly enough. And yeah, any any spell where the only realistic person that's using it is the one that's getting it for free can't get much more than a 2.
I will say I think this spell serves a novel role in that space. I like that there are silver bullet kind of spells, and it's better to put those on extra expanded lists because then you can
Mm,
see a lot more diversity in spells cast because the player doesn't have the agency of only taking things they know they can always use. They have to take some things that are niche, and in this window, you're going to cast different spells more often because you have spells on your sheet that you wouldn't normally put there that can be useful in some situations. I don't know. I think this is a great spell to put on expanded spell lists, I think.
yeah,
Like,
certainly. Yeah, I like that it's on those. All right, hope to see it cast someday effectively.
yeah, who knows? Play with an order domain cleric, I guess.
Yeah. All right, well, that was Heroism. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know what you think of Heroism down in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.